So on custody, the reality is their picks are already selected, you just don't know it. Being perfect no longer matters. It's what the adopting families are looking for.
Who is it stealing the children, you ask?
From caseworker to the White House, the buck stops at all levels, just not where it is supposed to be. The services your family needs, we the people have paid for to ensure your reunification. Title 4 says, reunify at all costs. United, we stand means nothing to us when it comes to family values. Children are being ripped away from their families. Parents are reverting to addictive behaviors to cover the pain. The trauma caused by child removal is just being recognized, and the results are atrocious. Termination of parental rights is not healthy for anyone, just profitable for the people enforcing the lie.
It's time Washington listens to the cries of our children, the wails of their mothers, and the rage growing in the fathers. These are our children. Keep your damn hands off them. We are coming to act on the behalf of the children God gave us to protect, and you kidnapped.
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
We need to stop CPS and abolish CPS.com is leading the way. Join us.
I'm here. There?
Hello, Danielle.
Hey, Herbert. How are you?
What's going on with you?
Nothing much, just trying to everything.
How's things going with your son?
He's still in Texas, of course, and they're just taking their quality, like they're just really what it is they're trying to treat it like, because he's an adult, he's 19 and he's an adult, and they're trying to treat it like a child, like he's under 18, like he's still a child, and they're trying to go by those because he's considered an extended foster care, right? So it's all it's all supposed to be voluntary, but they're trying to beat around the bush, like they're trying to hide their mess ups, so they're walking a thin line, if you get what I'm saying. And they haven't, so because I mean, I know everything that it's fallen into place. It's just it's taken. They should have already had him back by now. And
Okay.
yeah. So, but everything else, everything is it's moving along. It's just it's not moving along quick enough because he's missing his senior year in school. And
Yes.
yeah, so
Does he go to a mortar and brick school, or
he's in a
what?
facility right now, Devro,
Yes.
and he's there. So he goes to the school that they have there. But when he comes home, he'll be going to a regular like his high school
I
because
see. What
yeah,
state are
he's
you in
supposed
again?
Georgia. I'm in
What's
Georgia. He's in
oh,
Texas.
what part of Georgia are you in? I forgot. I remember. I think we talked about this.
Yeah, I live in Ackworth, which is like north of Marietta, Cartersville. I'm in Cherokee County. I live in
Oh,
Bartow, but yeah.
okay.
So
I'm used to Coweta County, Noonan, Georgia.
Coweta. Oh, okay. So you're south. Yeah, you're further south. That's
Yes.
further south. Yeah, I'm
Southwest.
north.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Southwest.
I'm
Okay.
north off 570. I mean off 75. So like I'm
Well, yeah,
probably
up to 75.
77.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm about 70 miles from Chattanooga. So I'm
It's
more in
so
the north.
funny. I was just talking to some people last week about the 285. You remember when it was a 3-lane highway going each way?
Oh yeah, and then they
Then
made
they
a
made it
big mess
4
out of.
lanes. Now they made it
Mhm.
6 lanes,
Yeah.
and it's still bumper to bumper traffic, right?
Yes. Yes.
Well,
And they
where I live, they want to take a 3-lane, make it 4 lanes. I said, for what? I said, it
that's
doesn't make any difference because it's still
right.
gonna be bumper to bumper.
Right. It's traffic is getting bad around here. Like they've extended out. They've like Highway 92. It's a 10-year project, and they're trying to make it a 4-lane. And I'm just like, how is that going to work? Like they're taking people's yards and everything. Like it's
They call that they refer to that as eminent domain.
that's
But
it.
but the thing but the thing is, you're still gonna have bumper to bumper traffic.
hmm Even
If they leave it,
the road I live off of is the main road back here. It gets backed up, and there's two ways. Like people use this as a shortcut to get from one exit to the other to beat the traffic on the
yeah,
highway, and it still gets
yeah,
backed up because there's like two stop signs on this road. And but people
yeah,
think like my cul-de-sac is but you have to like you'll run into the lake if you try to use my road as a cut through. Like,
yeah.
but they're
Well,
it's
what they should do is just leave it alone. Let people figure it out. Let jobs figure it out. For example, rather than
yeah,
having to be at work at 9 o'clock in the morning, they may have certain employees come to work at 10, 11 o'clock.
right. Right.
You see?
And you would
And maybe a lot
they
more people carpool. Rather than
that's what they're trying to
increasing,
get people to do out here and there. It's
uh,
Georgia's. They're trying to get people to do that out here in Georgia, but like carpool, and they even have a place in Kennesaw, which is like 20 minutes from me, to where you can park your car and ride like with people. Like you can park your vehicle and meet there. I mean, it's like a kind of like for MARTA, but you carpool with people, and I mean it's supposed to be safe and everything, but nobody's wanting to do that. Everybody's either working from home or they're traveling to the office still because
sure.
these roads
I got another idea too. If you're going to make another lane, charge for it. So in
that
other
well
words, you
true.
you got to pay $200 a month to travel in that lane.
Now there is what we call like people can use the Sun Pass. North Carolina can use their pass, and they made a lane like that. Like it's kind of like the HOV lane, and
Yeah.
you have to I forgot how much it is, but it's the Peach Pass, and you have to have that, and you have to have that in order to ride in it. So is that what you're talking
Right.
about?
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
if you're in violation, you spend $1,000 for a
Oh yeah.
violation or $2,000.
The only bad
That
thing
would
about
keep the traffic flowing.
yeah, well, and one bad thing about those kind of how they have them shut down is hold on. That's how they have them shut down is if a wreck happens, it'll shut those 2 lanes down. Because if you don't have the Peach Pass, you can't get on those lanes. But if there's somebody hauling butt through there and they wreck, it'll shut that whole thing down because it's like totally separate from the main road. Like it's not.
Oh, so if
Yeah.
there's an accident in that lane, then that's it. The lane is shut
Mhm.
down.
Yep. And I
So,
mean, so that's the only hiccup with that is the downfall.
oh,
Like otherwise, it's great. I mean, people,
okay.
people
To
it,
get us on track here, besides this talk, Danielle, you want to explain a little bit of your case and what you've been going through, kind of so everyone can kind of hear it a little bit?
yeah. So let's see. My case started in let's say September of 2022. My mother, well, really, it started in 2011. So I got in some trouble in 2011, and I was going away for a minute, and I needed to find a place for my kids to go so the state wouldn't get them. I wanted to make sure my kids were safe and they were happy and they were not in state's hands. So I asked my family for help. And so that was 2011. That was August of 2011. And so my mom agreed. And so my son, I think he was young at the time, but anyhow, so I have 3 kids. I have a boy and 2 girls. So back then, my mom had my son, my aunt had my daughter, and then my other daughter went with her, which is my cousin, because my son's autistic and he sometimes would have maybe like aggression, and like my pretty much like when I was pregnant with him, my nanny was like that was her the void from where my papa passed away, that filled the void was my son. My son filled so that's why he stayed with my nanny and my mom while I went because I had to go do some time. So we went to court and we did the guardianship and everything was fine. The judge left it up to us. He said there was no reason for CPS to be involved. He sees that we can handle everything ourselves and we can agree on everything, make visitation, like plan everything when I got out and get my life right and be a mother to my children. But we left it until the kids were 18. Like the kids would stay just in case because I was going to be on probation. So the kids would stay where they were living, but I would be involved in their life. Like I would be their mother like I'm supposed to be. That's my duty. I've had them and that's what they deserve. And and I needed to do right anyways. But I didn't wanna take them from where they were at because you can't expect me to get out and fresh out of prison and go get 3 kids and after being gone for a year or 2. I mean, it can be a lot on a child, so I had to think long term. Because what hap this is my thing, if what happens if I was to get locked up after prison? Like, because I was on probation, what if I violate probation? Well, come to find out, I did 6 months after I got out for community service, so where would my kids be? So, I had to think longevity. So, we decided that the kids would stay with each of the guardian, they would stay living there, and, until they were 18 or until I went back and terminated the guardianship, which we just left them like, the kids would stay where they were at because we all talked about this, like, me and my family, and, and everything was fine. So my son was with my mom and nanny and my dad. My daughter, Layla, was with my aunt, and then my youngest daughter, Audrey, was with my cousin. And, everything so this has been something that's been going on since 2011, everything's been fine. Now, sometime over the last 5 years, my aunt and my cousin have decided to isolate me and alienate me from my daughters, like, my son, I've been there, like, my son, I can tell you more about my son, like, to a T than I can my daughters, I mean, and I hate that. I've never not wanted to be in my kids' life, I've always wanted to be in my girls', and, I did get to talk to my daughter, my 17-year-old, not too long ago, and, I mean, it was a good 3 or 4 days worth, and, I mean, I let her say what she had to say, and, it was fine. It's just it she's going through her emotions right now because she's got I'm a mom and it's kinda, so that's a work in progress is my girls right now. But back to my son, so my mom had guardianship, and in September 17th, 2022, my mother passed away unexpectedly. So I went to go get my son, which I was supposed to get my son. Like, that's the way the guardianship was. Like, if something was to happen to the guardian and they become incapacitated or pass away, and like my mom did, I would become the legal caregiver of the child at that time. And that's what was supposed to happen with my son. But I had an aunt, the aunt that has my 17-year-old daughter, intervened and took my son from my mom and dad's house when I went to get him and kept him away from me and called CPS. And the things she said were horrible. Said I abandoned my kid. She don't know where I'm at. Nothing. So I'm trying to find my son for 2 months. And finally, DFCS or CPS reaches out to me through Facebook, from a fake Facebook name. And I mean, I'm new to all this, and this is, I mean, I've never had. That's the whole reason why, like, my kids are with the guardians, because we wouldn't have to deal with CPS. The judge even signed off on the guardianship papers. We've never had CPS in our life until my aunt did this, and she did it out of spite and out of negative, like, bad intentions, because she didn't want me around. She don't want me around my girls. She don't want me around my family. And this is my dad, and I have a special needs 37-year-old brother that is in my care. I take care of him. He's with me right now. And that's my younger brother. And so my mom passes away and my aunt takes my son, and she keeps him hid out from me. Don't tell me nothing. I'm trying to find him. I don't know who to call. So that's September to October, and then so all of October, and then the 1st of November comes. Well, come to find out, my aunt had a memorial for my mom, that I didn't know about. I wasn't invited to it, and then the next day, she gave my son to the state and said that she didn't know where it was and that she couldn't take care of him anymore because, and I don't know what gave CPS the right to place my son with her anyways, from the beginning, which there's a lot of fishy stuff with the case anyways, uh, that's gonna be, it's gonna be looked into. But, so he's put into foster care, given to the state, and they did not try to contact us, nothing. They did not reach out to family. Like, the aunt that did this was the only one they ever, I mean, and she said there was no other family that was willing or able to take him. Well, that's a lie, because if they would have reached out, there's plenty of family. My mother had several brothers and sisters. Well, now her brother and his wife have helped me to get my son home. And they didn't know Alex was in foster care or anything until, like, way, way later. And, because CPS just automatically put him into foster care, and then when I had get I had to go to Florida to get my brother, and my aunt called probation on me and told them that I had left the state, which there was a hurricane coming, and it was like, they were evacuating Florida, so I needed to get my brother home and safe, and he was down there visiting, some friends, and just for a little vacay, and it was time for him to come home, and he needed to be home anyways. So I went down there to get him, and I didn't with probation, you're supposed to call and let them know, or you're supposed to get a travel pass. Well, the emergency time was of the essence, and time was ticking, and I needed to get to my brother, and my brother's safety was more important than getting the travel pass, because I wasn't thinking. And plus, with everything about my son and my mom's death, I mean, I haven't even got to grieve my mother's death. But it will I mean, it'll happen. But, so let's see. So she calls probation, probation puts a warrant. So I get back so Thanksgiving Day, I got locked up for leaving the state without permission. And I was gone 60 days there. So during this time, have I go to my disposition and adjudication while I'm incarcerated. I didn't even get to go in the courtroom. So I don't know, and it's like everything has been hush hush with me with my case. And it's messed up, because next thing I know, the next hearing when I got out, I reached out to them and I'm like, "Hey, what do I need to do?" I want to bring my son home. What's up?" Well, next the court date, I'm told that he's going to be going to Texas. And which is totally against my consent, and I just don't get why they just wasn't listening to me for nothing. I mean, I was in compliance with probation. I'd even did my parenting class on my own, and they wasn't hearing it. They were going by false information about I'm not and I'm not gonna go in, like, full detail because, the case is still open right now, but, my son was sent to Texas, League City, Texas. His home state is Georgia. He's out at Devereaux in League City, Texas, no family. I'm on probation, I can't leave the state. I'm a all the boys got. I'm his mom. I mean, and like, him and his uncle Jay they're supposed to be like, that's what they wanted. They wanted to be which is 2 disabled people, my son and my brother, and they're like 2 peas in a pod. They're perfect together. And I'm willing to take that on because they deserve to have a chance at life too. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not 2 disabled people. I'm more than willing and more than happy and more than able to take on that challenge. And I will. If I have to, like with my dad, if I have to get my father too, um, I will. And people I don't see like, well, the place he's in, my son is not aggressive. My son, it's a behavioral health facility, and he's been out there since February of 2023. And I've got to hug my son one time since he's been out there. I got to hug him one time before they sent him out there, and I have to see him over a video. My aunt and uncle have done everything that needs to be done, and so have I, to get him home. But now he's turned 18 in the system, and then now he's turned 19 in the system. So I've missed 2 birthdays. Well, now he's in extended foster care. So that's where the area is now. So why isn't he if it's he's said plenty of times he's wanting to come home. So that's where the situation is now that I mean my aunt and uncle, they've completed hair follicles, everything. I mean the background check, and they are approved for my son, and they still have not got him home. So I mean they passed everything. Like I mean that's that no record, no nothing. Like everything is clear, and still my son's not home yet. So
So my question to you is, this all occurred in Georgia, or
yeah,
did it occur in Texas? Okay,
no,
so it occurred in Georgia.
mhm.
So we deal with Georgia CPS. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So how a whole different state, and it's not federal. How does a whole different state kick in to take in your son, which is Texas?
Well, you know what they said? They said there was no local placement for him. When I'm here, I got family here. My son comes from a loving home. Like he's been loved, and he I mean the boy has a family, and they said there was no placement for him here in Georgia. I there's even a Devereaux, which is the same facility he's at out there. There's even one right down the road from where I lived in it's in Kennesaw, which is like maybe 20 minutes from me. But my son is not a behavior problem. And the thing is that's what my aunt made him out to be. Like he's a danger to them, and she felt for her life, and the aunt that did this. I mean, she did it all out of spite. Like I mean, she and it's sad because this pertains to those people, those anonymous callers that call in and make false allegations or false reports. Well, that's my aunt. That's what my aunt did. Like, I mean, how she had no say over my son, nothing, and she butts her nose in something, and then now with my daughters, it's she don't want nothing to do with me. Well, you know what? It's not gonna work it can't work like that. Like that's not no. Mm-mm. I mean, how can you get away with lying and making false statements that aren't true and think that it's I mean, it's traumatizing. I mean, it's been 2 years, and I don't know. I mean, I've been on the news. I've been on the news about the how they send Georgia foster system sends our kids out of state to get help at the for placement, and then they bring kids from out of state to our facilities because it's all about money. It's all about the funds. It's all a money
Wow.
game.
Wow.
I was on the news about that, and that's what it is. Like, and they did a news story on it, and that's what they said. They said they send our kids that are in foster care out of state to get help at these facilities, and then they bring these kids from out of state because it's more money. And pretty much that's like
Wow.
trafficking. I'm sorry, that is trafficking, and it's happening right.
Yes.
Like my kid is
Yeah.
trafficked right in front of my eyes. So,
Uh,
and I mean, there's a guardian ad litem that he was over my son, and he's over my girls now. He hasn't really, he's spoken to me like maybe once out of this whole 2 years, and he's been in touch with my aunt, but he's neutral when it comes to CPS and then him because he don't work for them. He's on his own, and that could be a good thing, and that could be a bad, because. But my thing is why hasn't he been able to talk to me more than just the one time? Like, I mean, if at the rate that I've gone with dealing with CPS out here in Georgia, I look like a bad mom, like a very unfit mother, but I'm not. I'm not.
yes.
I mean, they've done some wrong, very, very messed up stuff. And
No, it does sound like it's messed up. Do you have any legal personnel working with you, like attorneys and stuff?
I do sort of, but really I'm doing it on my own because we got to get the guardianship. So it's in probate right now. There's no one with guardianship. So really he's like in limbo cuz extended foster care is voluntary. So why can't I go get my son? Like why can't I drive out to Texas and get him since he wants to come home? He could just, I mean, if it's voluntary, like, that's where I have a lot of questions is where did he sign? Like, what did he fill out? What did he sign? Does he know what he's doing? I mean, because he tells me plenty of times, and I have it recorded that he wants to come home. And I said, well, because I've treated him like he's an adult, and I talk to him like he's an adult, and I'm like, so what's your plan? Like because he's 19 now. So what's your plan? Are you gonna work wise? You gonna get an apartment? What's up? He's like, no, mama, or no, Danielle, I want to come back to Georgia. I want to come live with you. So, I mean, he answers the questions like adult to adult. It's not like mom to child, I'm asking him what his plans are for the future, what he's going to decide because I don't want them thinking or saying that I'm trying to like monopolize and like take over him and control, you know what I'm saying? I want him to make
Yes.
decisions. So what are they doing? That's my big question. Like, what are they doing? This facility is my son's verbal. My son is not aggressive. He's good. He gets good reports. I mean, and he don't bother nobody. But like there's just my whole case, 2 years, it's traumatizing. It's very traumatizing. It's very
Do
exhausting.
Okay. Do are they trying to deem, even though your son is 19, are they trying to say that he's not of sound mind to make his own decisions?
He's autistic, but he can't no, he's autistic, but they say he's I mean, he's kinda like my brother. My brother's, disabled, but my son knows. He's not, it takes him a minute, he's on a routine, so it's not that he's at his like like what you said, but he's more, he's just his mind's going all the time, he's on the ADHD
No,
part, like he's
no. I get what you're saying from your perspective, but what's the perspective of the people
um
that are making these decisions? Are they saying that he's not of sound mind to make proper
there's
decisions?
Yeah, they're saying he's dependent pretty much. That's what the case, yeah, he's dependent.
Okay,
So it's a
so
dep
that's the reason why
yeah.
he
But
he can't. They won't accept anything he says because he can't make his own decision.
now that he's an adult, the thing is,
Yeah.
now that he's an adult in the state of Georgia, and this is where the great okay, so if he's in Texas, where do the laws apply? Are we going by Georgia law? Or are we going by Texas law? That's
I would think, because he's in Texas, they're going to
it's
go by
going
Texas law.
exactly, and that's where the big gray area has been, that it's been by Texas's codes and statutes, codes, laws, not Georgia. But
Right.
they they've been, yeah, and that's what I've and because in Georgia, extended like foster care after 18, especially 19, is voluntary. Like it's voluntary, and even in what I've read in Texas, it is too. But hey, if I've got to deal with Texas, I'd rather deal with them than Georgia any day. So
Okay.
yeah, because
E- e- Even
they're a
if you have
lot.
a person that's on the spectrum and they can't make decisions of sound-minded person in Georgia, I mean, wouldn't Georgia say no? This person can't make decisions, financial decisions, bank decisions, or any other decisions because of their condition.
Well, I mean, he like that's the thing. Like when they got my son, when my son was given to the state, they didn't know nothing about him. They didn't know nothing until I came in the picture. My son was mute. He wasn't talking, and he started talking when and he told him, he's like, I told you my Danielle would be coming. She might be a little bit late, but she's here. And that's the first time he talked. Like the boy, he just lost his Meemaw. I mean, he was traumatized. Nobody told him that she's passed on. I mean, he's still this family member that done this just snatched him up from the house that he's always known. His papa, nobody in the family talks to him. But my aunt that's helped me, my uncle, and me and his Uncle Jay. And and the ones that we correspond, my dad that's been his father figure for 17, 18 years now, just totally has nothing to do with him. And and I don't I mean maybe my dad's mad, I don't know, because he was there when my mom died, so was my son. So I don't know, but my dad has totally, like, with me, my son, and my brother, the one that's with me, it's like a slap in the face. Like it's crazy. I was not expecting my dad to be like this. But I mean, he did lose his best friend, and because they were married for 30 almost 40 years. So yeah, and and he depended on my mom a lot, and for mom, my mom was 60 when she passed, and it was just out of the blue. Like, I had just talked to her 5 minutes before, and she just called to tell me she loved me. Yeah, and she laid down and, took a breath. She didn't suffer, she just they said it was a blood clot that,
Oh,
yeah, so and it was just it was all of a sudden, and it was just like, whoa. And now was and then having to deal with CPS and them coming at me the way they did. I mean, I didn't have time to think or nothing. Like, just automatic. I mean, what they're doing is dwelling on stuff that's over a decade ago. Well, people change, that's why it's the past. It's put behind me, I'm almost done with probation. I don't understand why they take these families and just rip them apart for no reason. Poverty, I mean, people do change, people, I mean, some do, some don't, but a majority of them that have gotten in the system do change, and they
yes,
do, and but they're still, it stinks because 'cause we're still on a statistic, instead of being a success
yes,
story. So, I mean,
right.
and that's
And
why I did
your story could have been a success story.
well, I mean, I
Actually,
am
your
a
story
success
is
story
a
because
success story.
yes, I changed,
It is a
yes.
success story, but nobody is adhering to it.
No, no, and they automatically think that I'm out here doing like, back on my old ways. No, it's not. It's I can't do that. I don't want that life. I'm sorry, like, but since my mother's death, like, I mean, it did, knock me down a little bit, 'cause not depression or nothing. I'm just trying to get everything together, like, whoa, because I was not expecting this to happen to my child. My child was stripped from his home, and I'm not told anything. And I mean, and I was not expecting my family member, her, to do that at all. I mean, maybe I don't even know why they hate me so much. I mean, because I've even tried to through parenting class. I finished parenting, and even tried to reach out to my aunt to mediate with her to visit with my daughter and be involved. She said she wants nothing to do with me, and she wants nothing to, or she wants nothing to do with me, and she's not gonna um what is it? Not gonna listen to what they have to say or anything. Like, she's not gonna have no affiliation with it at all. And that's bad. That's not good. When she's not
Yeah.
even, I mean, I've tried, like, my girls, they like, I'll send birthday cards for their birthday, and I'll get the card back, but the money will be, they'll get the money, but the card will, and it'll say no one lives here by that name or something like that. That's what my aunt does.
Wait, you mean the money was in the card? The
No,
card was opened. The money was taken out and sealed back and says wrong address.
yeah, that's what my family would do.
Wow,
Yeah, that's
that's
what
cold.
and even my daughter's dad, like, he's involved in her life, and my 17-year-old, he sends, I mean, he would claim all three of the kids, like, as his own. I mean, he's always done that, and he sends his daughter, and he's done the same way. I mean, it's like we're non-existent to the girls, but my son, I mean, what I don't get is DVAX out here in Georgia is trying to say, my son calls me Danielle. Okay, he's always called me Danielle because everyone around me calls me. He's only heard Danielle, So
He's
I'm
never
cool
heard
with that.
mom. Nobody
Yes,
calls you mom.
but right, but when you ask him, "Who am I?" to him, he says, "I'm his mom." So he knows
Right.
me as mom, but he calls me Danielle. Now, why do they have such a problem with that? Like, I don't get it. I don't understand why the little things that y'all were not involved for over a decade, and now when the boy is an adult, you want to no, it's not gonna no. Everything's been fine since 2011. My mom passes away. They should have just they shouldn't have listened to my aunt is what really, they should have did their job. If they would have followed by the proper procedures and the process and if their policies and procedures, I promise you, my son would not have ever. They could have prevented foster care. I promise you that. I
Yeah,
thought,
and they did could have
and they
prevented him from going to Texas.
yes, and if they would have exhausted all reasonable efforts, and especially having the fiduciary duty to the taxpayers to prevent foster care, they could have saved so much money, time, and the trauma. The trauma is what gets me. Like, I mean, the
Yeah.
boy, I mean, he's on video. He's been attacked on video visits. On a video visit, he was attacked. He's been, he'll sit there on a video visit and he'll tell somebody whoever's behind the screen to leave him the hell alone. And it's
Wow.
horrible. Yeah. So do they pick on him? Like, I know my kid, and it's I'll have to show y'all one day. Like, I'll have to tell
Can
you.
you go there or are you allowed to leave Georgia and go to Texas?
I can getting a travel pass, yes. And that's what's cool about probation. Like, they are okay with this. They're just wanting me to focus on getting my son and get him home. And I'm good with everything, and they're okay with that. As but it's just it's money. Like, I'm already I don't get no help with my brother. Okay, and he's disabled. We're going through the process though. It's a and that's what the guardian ad litem told me when this case first started with my son. He's like, "Well, you need to get your brother Social Security. You need to." Well, guess what? I did, and I applied, and that's what he's got 2 appointments next month, so it's moving along. So they can't sit there and say that I'm not doing what the guard, and like,
Yeah.
but it's like I'm not getting no talk or nothing from none of them, and they don't care. That Debbie's right. They don't care, and it's like Georgia. I sit here and I'm very involved, like, watching the news, looking up the, foster care, anything with extended foster care, or my focus with where I want to advocate for kids is the kids that are the teenagers, the ones that are special needs in these RTF facilities, the residential treatment facilities, because there's information or things that happen that are not documented and that are hidden. And that's why I wrote this thing called Georgia's Hidden Scarlet Letter. And
Yeah.
it's pretty cool, and I wrote a song, it's a poem, and it talks about, like, ICPC and everything, and it's really cool, but it's like it's talking about, like, Georgia's hidden foster care, the systematic failures that they hide, that
Yeah.
people that need to be addressed, that need to be, I mean, and that they're not make, "Oh, well, we do this." Well, why don't sweep that under the table? No, that needs to be. I got so many responses from, DFCS out here that my kid with through John Ossoff, which is a senator, a federal US senator, but Georgia is his state. I don't know if you've heard of John Ossoff. Um,
No,
he's
I
he
haven't.
he's a US senator, but he's over Georgia, and he represents Georgia, and and I was in touch with him and his subcommittee, and they had a and huh? Go ahead.
You said you've been in touch with them.
Yeah, yeah, and, the CPS would respond that my concern has been reviewed and satisfactorily resolved.
Yeah.
No, but come to find out, that's what they were saying to a lot of cases here in Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
they're saying, that cases are being resolved, but to people like the
but they're not.
senators, just to poo them off.
Yes, right, because they were, and my thing is there, because the thing is there's parents out there that are going through this that are not, they're scared to voice themselves. They're scared to apply the pressure back to these people. And they need, and when you start a, I'm not going to say a fight, when this battle starts, you can't give up. You cannot back down. You got to keep pushing. And that's where a lot of the parents get with these CPS cases. They don't push back. They don't push back at them because they're not. I mean, because these are bullies. They're bullies. They are bullies. They
The
will come
man in the
in. They
back
will.
room says he did, but
Huh? Do I know?
the man in the back room says he pushed and pushed and pushed, but look where it got me.
See, and that's it sucks. But you got to keep pushing because I'm telling you, it will. You will. Trust me, it gets rough. You're at the point with yours. I was at that point with mine case, and I'm telling you, it was some days I just wanted to. I mean, I'm like, how could they do a family like this? Why don't they understand? Like, this is my child. I mean, like, I lost sleep. I've lost. I lost myself for a minute there, because it's like the world was going on around me, but I was just there, until, and because I couldn't grasp like that my son was just what I feared over a decade ago just happened to me in 2022. Like, that is why I asked my family for help to prevent this. And the one that was on under oath that promised she would keep my kids out of the state's hands, turned on me when my mother passed away and threw my son to the state like he's nothing.
Wow.
And why didn't they take all three of my kids? If I'm such a bad mom and I'm being accused of abuse and neglect or whatnot, why didn't you remove all three of my kids? Because they didn't even remove my son from my care. It was her care. And that's what but I'm being, like, talk about taking a mother. Like, I lost my mom, and my son, like, did I do something wrong? I'm like, no, no. Did he feels he didn't do anything wrong though, and
Mhm.
they don't think about the best interest of these kids. These kids are what they're supposed to be listening to. The kids that they're taking are I mean, I've met so many parents that, like, there's even like, I mean, I live paycheck to paycheck. I mean, I'm poverty on poverty level, but I know families that are like medium class or they got money, that they even lost their kids into CPS. And I'm just like, how and then what and I've talked to social workers. There's one that has spoken to me that's up in Virginia, I believe. And when and she's just like, I want to help the parents that where they're not these workers are not telling them what they need to tell them. So instead of trying to find out what they're supposed to do and to get their kid, they're supposed to be told that thing, and I wasn't. Like, in this case, this social worker that's up there, she's really, really cool, and she's actually helped me out a lot, with the support, like, because, I mean, you talk about every feeling there is, that's what you go through when you go through a CPS case. Any me not to ever know I never knew that it was so corrupt until the average person does not realize how bad it is until they go through it themselves or they know someone. And I have firsthand experience now because wow, now I know because that's how this stuff is not it's not out there like it should be. It's starting to. I mean, you gotta think families first, and when they talk about kinship and stuff and grandparents, my mom and my family had my kid, and this is something that's been going since Bill Clinton was in, like, the families first and his grandparents, right, and all that, but nobody ever talks about it until now. And 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 it's now being brought to the light, but why not I mean, Bill Clinton, gosh, that's been, what, over 20 years ago? Like,
Oh,
wow.
yeah. I would say that over
Yeah,
20 years,
yeah, and
over 20 years ago.
but I'm telling you, I've never heard anybody say I mean, it's like, once they got like, my family got guardianship, it was like, and, we handled everything on our own. We didn't they nobody got no money from nothing. I didn't even I didn't have to pay I opened up child support on myself in 2018. Um, and and then my son, he's always received his Social Security, but I mean, everything was fine. But I don't see how CPS, after a decade, can involve themselves because my son, I mean, they violated a lot. I mean, from September to November, a lot of stuff was. There's been. I'm not even gonna. I'm not even gonna put it out there yet. But
So
I'll keep.
if you didn't go away, for whatever period of time you did, CPS wouldn't be involved.
CPS was never involved, even when I went away. Like CPS since 2011, CPS
Well,
has
they got
never
involved
been
because of your aunt. Your aunt introduced them.
because of my mom passed after my mom passed. So a decade went by and she took my son and she thought I don't know what she was thinking, but that's 2022 is when CPS started getting involved after a decade
Because of your aunt.
because my aunt made a call, yes, and she said that my son was pretty much without a caregiver. Because my mom had passed, because his guardian passed away, but she told them a lie because she acted like she didn't know where I was or nothing when she knows exactly where I'm at. I mean,
And
I
you
even
were
saw her at
you were not anywhere. I mean, you were wherever you were available to take care of your son.
right, right. I even I saw my son drug out of the house when I showed up to be with my family, my dad, my brother, my son at my parents' house. My aunt drug my son out of the house and left. Like, she was pissed because I was there. And I'm just, like, walking in I mean, I didn't know I'm shocked. I was speechless. I mean, I just lost my mother. I mean, like and then I see my son hollering, "Help, help." I mean, it's yeah, and that's yeah. And
The
I
the
I'm
have
the
sorry
that
the,
you went through this.
the man on the
it's
wall has an opinion on that matter, Danielle.
What's
And the
up?
opinion is you need to start looking at your state and your constitution rights, because under the due process clause, it protects you and it protects families under that
Under the due
constitution. So
process?
yes.
Yeah,
And you're also protected under the 14th Amendment and the Fourth Amendment
the
and the
Fourth
First
Amendment.
Amendment.
Yeah, because they've even tried to, because I've been on probation since 2011, and I got till September of next year, which I'm so excited. I've came this far and I could keep going. Like I can do this. I'm not nothing. And yeah, they have, like, they even tried to get probation. Like they tried to get them. Like they showed up at my house when my PO came out here one day, and they popped up with, like, right after he was already here, and they pull up, and they're not supposed to pull up unannounced. There's no court order, and plus I'm not being convicted of anything, charged with anything, nothing, and they were trying to get probation too. And my PO said, this is criminal, that's civil. We're not getting involved. She's in compliance. That's all y'all need to know. I mean, and they that's how low they were going. Like they were taking it that far. Yeah, the violation with the color under the color law. That's what I was. Yeah, 'cause it was deprivation of. Yeah, my son's been through. I tell you, he's a lot stronger than me. He's a trooper, man. He uh he's came a long way, and I'm proud of him. I really am. He's a young
That's
man
good.
now.
That's yeah.
And now he's experienced some things out there at this place. But that is a things that will be addressed as soon as he comes home. And because
Yeah.
I've got the footage, I've got the video, I
Yeah.
record every video visit, and they know it, and because Georgia is a one record, or Georgia and Texas are a one person record state. So, and I have.
Oh, that's good.
Mhm.
They refer to it as a one party state.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have a lot, like, so I don't know, deprivation of rights, yeah, that's exactly what I will be filing my civil suit in under. Yep. And the crazy thing is this all goes back to them doing their job, following their own proper policies and procedures, their own child welfare manual, which I have studied myself. I have read. I mean, has anybody ever heard of the the legal term nunc pro tunc in a court proceeding ever? It's supposed to nunc pro tunc, it's now before then, or then before now, or pretty much it's to backdate something. Like it's only supposed to be used for clerical error. Like say if a judge signs off on a court order later on, they backdate it to the original date. Well, I've I haven't heard it much, but I know it's been done in my case, and I think that's messed up because
Okay.
it's what it is they try to take something that happened in June and try to say it happened in February, and that's false. That's false. And they're only supposed to use it for clerical error, but they try to use it for judicial error, and and a lot of people don't realize that. And I've noticed that I read every court order, I read everything. Like they know that I ain't playing with them. Like I ain't got. When all this started, I started putting my nose in the law books and study, research. I had to. Like
Mhm.
it's crazy. But and then I've helped other parents and stuff, but it's my
Mhm.
biggest thing is these RTF facilities, these residential treatment facilities that are getting away with all this. And Georgia's sending my son out of state for care when their placement, right? I mean, they told me there was no local placement. I have emails, text messages, phone calls, everything. And I won't talk to these people unless it's over text message or email. I won't. And I already told them, they know, and they stop. They won't talk to me. Period. Now, which is fine, because I'll just see them. Probate's coming. So hello, Chris.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. So, but yeah, so now I'm at the point that October 24th, I will be going to file my petition for adult guardianship for my son. Because I mean, I got to do something because they're not. I mean, guardianship hasn't been granted to nobody. DBHDD, which is the Department of Behavioral Health Disabilities, and out here in Georgia, they filed for
Yeah.
guardianship over in June of 2023, the month before my son was 18, right? That
Mhm.
it's still not granted till this day. They and I found out that and so that tells you and to me that gives me hope because that they didn't grant it because they could have granted it. I mean, they could have just told me to kick rocks and I mean, they could have granted it to DBHDD, but for some reason, it's still not granted. And I do believe, and I hope it's right that by the faith, good with the faith I got, that I think they haven't granted it because they know that my son, this is the same county that I'm on probation in. That they see me at my worst and they see me at my best. They know how involved I am and how I am about my children. I am like my kids are my world and they know this. I've had to report to this courthouse every day for 2 years one time.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I've been on paper for almost 15 years. Will it be wow, it's been 15 years already. Woo. It'll be 15 years next year. So I mean, they know me and they know I mean, they know when I'm messing up. They know when and it's a big county. So, but and that's where the CPS case is. So what I don't understand is, and I believe that probate, the judge or whoever is not granting it is doing that because he knows that this boy does come from a loving family and that his mom and because I was never notified that
Mhm.
that's another story that they were supposed to serve me with the petition and stuff. No,
Mhm.
somebody, what caseworker went and intercepted the certified letter that was supposed to come to me at a post office that was 30 minutes away from me. 30, yeah. Like, I got the tracking number, but they intercepted it on a Saturday morning at 9 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah, and I never got it. So that's what threw up the red flag, and that's what gave me, like I was like, "Whoa." And that's when I started realizing that there was some crazy stuff going on, and I started putting mine, like, deeper. I started researching and putting the pressure on even harder 'cause that was uncalled for. I mean, they were trying to go bypass me, like, hush hush me and make me to where I just did not and I it's true, and even with my girls, let me tell you this, my girls, there was I don't understand how it's permanent custody when it's supposed to be just permanent guardianship, it's 2 totally different things, and, it's no, that's this paperwork now with my girls, it's all new, and I've never seen it before, but anyhow, let me not get off the subject, but, the address. Okay, so I've been served at my address with my son's case. Well, here comes my daughter's 3-year review or whatnot, and the guardians had not even kept the courts. You're supposed to do an annual personal, like a status quo, like let them know, keep the courts up to date with what's going on with the kid, if there's any changes, and that's supposed to be done annually. Well, they hadn't done that in like 5 years. Well, sure enough, and then all of a sudden, why are me and those 2 guardians even living at the same address when I was just served at my address with my sons, and that was juvenile court in the same county, but yet here comes my daughters for a review, and all of a sudden, me and the guardians live in the same house when they've never even stepped foot, and they didn't even get the papers, the sheriff even come out and everything, and I didn't even it was a house that I hadn't lived at in over 10 years. So, how did that my address get changed in the system? Like, that's tell me if somebody ain't messing with that stuff. So I mean,
It sounds like your aunt may be involved in all that.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, where she messed up is when my mom died. When my mom passed away, she started what she's wanted to do. I can promise you, my aunt has wanted me out of the picture since day one in 2011. It's something about my kids that that I don't even know. Like I'm not a bad mom. I'm not this. I mean, just put it this way. She told the CPS that my daughter's special needs. My daughter's not special needs, and it's on paper that my daughter's not special needs. I even asked my daughter. And I seriously asked. I mean, I told her. I said, "Don't get mad." I said, "I just want to know: have you been medically diagnosed with any kind of disability like your brother, and to make you under a quotation mark special needs?" No, mom, I'm a dual diploma because she's a senior. And I knew right then that it was a lie. My daughter's not special needs. So there's a lie right there on paper. And that's why they said they removed my son from my aunt's care, was because they were already taking care of one of my kids that was already special needs. My daughter has not ever been special needs. Like, what?
Are you able to identify and get someone who could be an advocate for you?
I have been talking to a ADA advocate, but I'm in the process of it. I need to do it, like, because I've been trying, and it's just like, how it's money. Money is the biggest thing, and
No, no, no. There's advocates that's not going to charge you anything.
I have found a couple of them, but every time I go to get their help, they always have other stuff to do. Like, it's weird. It's weird.
Daniel,
That's
you should try hitting up Tiffany. She does the show with Darren usually.
okay. Yeah, because I mean, everything with my son right now, they're just banking off him. That's all. That's all they're doing. It's all money. Like, that's why they're keeping him out there, because they get that check, they get that money, and the longer they keep him out there, and yeah, and because once he comes back home, they're not going to be getting that federal funding anymore.
Okay,
And
man on the wall. How can she get in touch with Tiffany?
I think she would have to go on the show with Tiff and Darren, or go on to TikTok and look up Wicked Warriors.
she was just in here, wasn't she? Wicked Warrior Tiffany. It's Wicked Warriors.
Yeah, Wicked Warriors.
Uh, okay, I've lost a pen. You know,
Take your time, find your pen, write it down.
I got letters today from my
Also, do you
brother.
have do you have Darren's number?
Yes, yes, I do.
Then
Yes.
just call Darren
Okay.
and
Uh-oh.
ask Darren for Tiffany's number.
Okay.
If you're gonna call Darren, make sure it's late in the afternoon, like 1, 2 o'clock, because
Okay. Yeah,
he does
'cause
like to sleep in the morning.
look, I don't
But
blame him.
he works a lot of weird hours.
Yeah. He's up wee hours, like the podcast and everything. I know he gets tired, definitely. I lost. Can y'all see me?
Actually, if you come on the show
Okay.
one day during the week and you remember, just reach out and say, how do I get in contact with Tiffany? And if I see that, I will make sure that
Okay.
Darren understands you're trying to contact Tiffany.
Okay. Yeah,
I can, I
'cause
mean, I can look back, but I don't think it's still in there. It was in there.
what?
What was in there?
How to reach Tiffany. I'm looking
Oh,
back.
oh.
Wicked Warriors. I think I know I'm friends with Wicked Warriors on Facebook, I think it is. Are they on Facebook too? Are she on Facebook? Tiffany.
I can't remember.
I don't know if she's on Facebook or not, but there's nothing wrong with checking to see if it's Tiffany on
Oh, Debbie
Facebook
said
with Wicked Warriors.
Tiffany. Debbie said she. Oh, is that her number?
I think that's her right there.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I'll reach out to her. Where is she based out of?
I don't know.
Is she
One
like
might think
she an aggressive
Louisiana,
one?
maybe?
Huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
She's very aggressive. Yeah, oh
'Cause
yeah.
I'm the same way. And this county that's like it's crazy how they Georgia, I don't know what these people are thinking. Like they just think they're just I don't even know what these CPS people down here are thinking. Like they just don't they think they're just made of I don't know. I mean, invincible, I don't know, but it's just not right. I mean, they have no and this is caseworkers that don't even have kids themselves.
Here we
Like,
go. There's her email.
okay.
You want me to
20.
put you BBC or do you want me to stick you in there?
Stick me in there.
Drawing.
Did you write it down?
Yeah,
Did you
I'm
write
getting
down
it.
her email?
Yeah, I got it now. Yep.
But it's about that time, you guys.
Okay.
If I just want to say one thing, the type of person Tiffany is, if someone in the neighborhood calls on Tiffany because there may be a little loud music coming from her house, there'll
Oh,
be 7 police cars showing up, not one.
that's look, that's
They wouldn't
sounds
send
like
one police car to say
that
lower the music. No, they'll send 7 police cars
that
to say,
sounds like
man, would you please lower the music?
that's what they do. Yeah. Look, then I'll get along with them just fine because that's what I'm the same way. Like yep. Tiffany White.
They'll send 7.
Mhm.
Just to and be polite and say, ma'am,
Mhm.
will you please lower the music?
But
And there'll
she
be
don't
7
take
police cars standing there.
yeah, she don't take their crap. I mean, that's how you gotta be. I mean, it ain't somebody's job to bully. I mean, we're all together in this world, and I mean, ain't nobody no different from anybody else. We're all the same. We're all equal, but it's just we all just look different and act different. But we're all really, we're special in our own way. But I mean, but people bullies like for some reason, some people think they're better than others. I don't get it, and they think they
Well,
can use
I would
their
suggest, I know we got to get off the air, but I would suggest you go ahead and email her and
I know.
maybe offer her your phone number and ask her to give you a holler.
I will definitely. I'll do that when I get off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
Thanks.
last words,
Thanks.
guys.
Thanks, Debbie. Thanks, Tammy, for all the information. And
Well,
thanks for interacting with me.
my last words are learn about CPS, find out how you can stay off their radar. And just like what's going on here, you have to, for people that don't know anything about it, as you learn now, you don't have to know anything, but once you get locked up in there, you're not getting out too quick. Danielle is an example of that.
It's just like being pretty much it's just like being in a criminal case. I mean, it's not even criminal. Like that's what they tried to perceive it as. But I mean, and it's family court is just it's crazy. But you have to do your research and just don't give up on them on your kids. Do not do
All
not.
right. And from the man in the walls, last words are this: never give up hope. Keep fighting. Keep speaking out. Have your stories heard to the public. And
Mhm.
make sure that you got copies of everything you say and do.
Right. Right.
Until next week on Monday night, we are out of here.
Good night, everybody.
Okay. All right.
Who has been torn away from their security blanket, their parents, the ones who stopped the boogeyman from terrorizing the nights and curing their boo-boos when they scraped their knees. Now just imagine how they mightest feel when the CPS meant to protect them tears them away from their supposed abusers and places them with strangers who have zero comforting skills. They need to be calm. They are confused, lost, panicked, and needing their parents, but CPS took them away for the purpose of saving them. The kids don't even know why, and they are told that the parents they attach to no longer want them. What do you think that does? Do you think that this is how protecting children is supposed to look? Abolish CPS.